Dear Mr. Park Bang-beom, Honorable Vice Minister of Education of the Republic of Korea, Mr. Chan Nam-ju, Chairman of the Korea Education Frontier Association, distinguished representatives from member states, focal points from the Global Alliance for Literacy, UNESCO colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to the EdTech Korea Forum 2020. I understand that this is the 14th edition of the forum, and I'm glad that the UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning is partnering with the Ministry of Education of the Republic of Korea from this year to support the forum. On a personal note, I participated in one of the previous editions of the forum as a speaker, and I'm happy to be back today as a co-organizer. The Forum on EdTech Education Digital Transformation cannot be more appropriate and better timed. With the current COVID-19 pandemic and its continuing uncertainty, all of us in the education sector here today are facing unprecedented challenges in minimizing the learning disruption while urgently searching for creative ways to transform what learning is about and how learning takes place. Let me first talk about the magnitude of the learning disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. According to a recent UNESCO policy brief, around 24 million learners from pre-primary to tertiary education are at risk of not finding their way back to school in 2020. It is a gruesome fact that those who were already vulnerable before the pandemic, such as learners in poverty, girls, and those affected by conflict, will be at greater risk of discontinuing their education. The learning disruption goes beyond the formal education sector. Adult learning centers around the world suspended their face-to-face classes since March or earlier. They left adult learners who were already in great learning needs, such as refugees, migrants, low-skilled workers, and literacy learners, in limbo. It was a clear wake-up call that the current education system is prone to any disruption, inflexible for any changes, and unable to respond as timely as it should. Good news, however, is that such realization has forced us to rethink learning and take immediate action to mobilize new, innovative, and creative ways to ensure learning continuity at all levels. From government-led to grassroots-led initiatives, and from using old and existing media like radio and TV to taking advantage of mobile phones and online learning, the changes that we've made for the last few months prove how one can turn a crisis into an opportunity. The CEO of a major IT company described their own changes in the IT sector as 2 years' worth of digital transformation in 2 months. I'm sure we all agree that we have witnessed more changes in education for the last few months than we ever had even in decades. In order to seize this forced opportunity and turn this crisis into a deep transformation in education, a number of conditions should be met, and I would like to highlight 3 key conditions today. First, digital transformation is great only if no one is left behind. Let us avoid repeating the same mistake of widening the digital divide. UL, through a recent initiative on the futures of lifelong learning, strongly recommended that member states place vulnerable groups at the core of the lifelong learning agenda and urges public and private sectors to intentionally design learning technology as a common and public good for all. Second, it takes a village to raise a child, and it is absolutely true that it takes more than a school to raise a child to become a lifelong learner. In the era of COVID-19, the roles of communities and families become more critical than ever, not only in providing a healthy and safe environment, but also in nurturing a culture of learning throughout their lives. I'm pleased to highlight that UL's family literacy activities and the UNESCO Learning Cities Network promote such collective dimension of learning. Third and finally, all of these desired transformations of education, culture, and of lifelong learning cannot be achieved without strong global solidarity. As a step forward to the worldwide solidarity, UNESCO, together with other UN agencies, development partners, and the private sector, launched the Global Education Coalition to facilitate inclusive learning opportunities for all of our member states. This will be presented later during the second session today. It is in this context that the UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning strongly supports the EdTech Korea Forum and warmly welcomes all the member states here today to build solidarity to turn this challenging time into a better future for education and lifelong learning. I thank again the Ministry of Education of the Republic of Korea, the Korea Education Frontier Association, as well as Korea Education and Research Information Service for organizing this important forum and for providing a platform for fostering global solidarity. I wish all the participants a very productive meeting with lifelong learning experiences.